Oh, hello. Welcome to the 2013 Hundie Challenge. Today we're going to be discussing Bender is Great by I.P. Freely. Dee-doo-dee-doo-doo, dee-doo-doo-doo-doo-dee-doo-doo-doo, dee-doo-dee-doo-doo, dee-doo-doo-doo-dee-doo-doo-doo. You know, I may not be in a great state to be reading this book right now. I just had my wisdom teeth out. I'm a little bit under the weather. I'm a little bit doped up on all the prescription meds and everything. I found this book unusually hard to concentrate on, and I don't know what to make of that. The language didn't seem particularly difficult. Like I say, it may just have been, too much coding or whatever. But I found that I could just not make a whole lot of progress on it. And it may just have been one of those dense books. But that's the funny thing to me. The language was so simple. It didn't feel like it should be dense. Like you read Conrad, you know it's going to be dense. So I'm not entirely sure what to say about this book. It is set in a fictional or perhaps real but unstated African coastal country. In a village which is never named but is described with the village at the bend in the river. The country is similarly never named, nor is the dictator, who is referred to as the president or occasionally the big man. The main character, the narrator, is he's a foreigner, so to speak. But he's really very African in his inclinations and his behavior and everything. He kind of considers himself an African, but because he is of foreign stock, shall we say, he's considered a foreigner by the Africans. So the character's name is Salim, and the book is entirely from his perspective. What this book made me think of is a exciting action movie. There are even, books and movies about Africa that are exciting, and, The Last King of Scotland and, Blood Diamond, and some of them spring to mind. This reminded me of a movie like that, but from the perspective of the shopkeeper. Or, for a simpler comparison, imagine a Western, but from the perspective of the barkeep, There's clearly all this stuff going on in the country. The president, the big man, comes to power, he falls from power, There's revolution, there's murder, there's child soldiers, there's all that stuff going on. But Salim is just kind of a bystander. He's just kind of there. He's just kind of watching out for number one, but he also kind of has this, if he wasn't African, you would almost consider it like a British kind of stiff upper lip. He just kind of like takes his lumps as they come. The whole organization, the whole government is so corrupt that the corruption is just institutionalized. And he just understands that as a shopkeeper, he's going to be constantly handing out bribes. There's even times when he says, I was going to give him a bribe, but I knew if I gave him a bribe, it would never stop. I would just have to keep giving him bribes. So he's really resigned to his fate, and he just kind of watches as the country is changing all around him. And it's a country that he's invested in. But emotionally, I don't know if that's the right way I was going to say emotionally detached, but I don't even know if that's the right way to say it. It's just kind of a fatalism, a stoicism, if you will. They just kind of accept that this is the way things are going to be. Overall, it was kind of an odd book. It was very much from certainly a different perspective from American popular culture, if you will. I remember when I was very young and my dad told me, how you can tell that it's a foreign movie? because they don't win in the end. Because in every American movie, you win in the end. So that's a very American attitude. This book, not only is there no winner, there's no loser. There's just kind of this. I keep saying it over and over, but this stoicism, this kind of resigned air to what's going on. From that perspective, like I said, from the perspective of being a book about a regular guy, somebody who would be like a background character in a movie, in the sense that it kind of captures a certain sense of African life that the average reader would never see. It's interesting, but divorced from that, it's not a very interesting book. It's almost funny the choices that he made, that there was obviously so much going on, and yet he focused on this character who just kind of drifts through life. I mean, that's not the protagonist I would pick, but that's not to say that Naipaul didn't feel like that was your average, African civilian of the period in the 70s, Idi Amin and Mobutu Sese Seko and those kind of guys. I can already tell I'm sounding doped up, so I apologize. Like I said, I just had surgery. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tolerating me in this state. And make sure to tune in next time.